And now you see this great dichotomy. Now, my brother, you don't grab a kettlebell like this. Don't do it. This seems like a 16 kilo. What he does is he flexes his upper body, right? So the spine is flexed. The kettlebell's outside his center of mass, and it's diagonal to the side. So he starts twisting, rotating a little bit, and flexing the back. If you grab weights like this is a guaranteed disaster for your lower back. Grüezi miteinander, Gregory from Lebe here. We're all about kettlebells. So if you are into kettlebells, like the video and consider subscribing. Now the jump rope dudes, I have been watching those guys for a pretty long time because there was a time where I was actually interested in learning more about the jump rope. And as you can see right here, my skills are not the best, but I tried some things. And yeah, like everything, it just requires a lot of work to get better at it. Now with this workout that they're presenting, you're actually seeing something that is very interesting. You see a display of massive skill with his jump rope skills, which I really love. I really loved it. It looks so solid, so smooth, so easy. And now you see this great dichotomy. Now, my brother, you don't grab a kettlebell like this. Don't do it. This seems like a 16 kilo. What he does is he flexes his upper body, right? So the spine is flexed. The kettlebell's outside his center of mass, and it's diagonal to the side. So he starts twisting, rotating a little bit, and flexing the back. If you grab weights like this is a guaranteed disaster for your lower back. We got a feedback from one of our subscribers who said he hurt his lower back when he was taking the kettlebell outside of his car or putting it into his car. So then, yo, you don't do this, my man. Brother, you don't do this. For those of you who are watching the channel, you know what's up. The triangle, the meme. You place the kettlebell in front of you, approximately half a meter, and we call it the triangle, so that your feet form the bottom of the triangle and the kettlebell forms the top of the triangle. That way, you don't waste your first rep. You don't start like this, especially with heavy weights. It's impossible. Now, a lot of arm dominant work. Yes, we see the hip is working, but it's a lot of arm dominance. You can see it because the arms are fairly out wide and they're not as relaxed. They have to be relaxed to a certain extent depending on the swing you're doing. And then, oh no, you don't do this, brother. You don't do this. Don't drop weights like this. Don't do it. Don't do it. You can just, we call it, you park the bell safely. Treat the kettlebell like it's loaded. Handle it like a gun. Safely put it down. That's just the complete difference. It's a great video to see where a master is at play at one thing and he's not very good at another thing. He grabs the kettlebell again, see? And that's a model pattern. You have to work on this, guys. You should see me when we work with our clients in the studio. I stop the session so many times and I'm telling them, don't pick up the weights with your back. Pick up the weights with your hips. Clean and press. Now, what he does is actually a hand clean, because you can do a normal clean and press where you go into a back swing and then press the weight. You can do a power clean and press where you drop the weight down, or a hand clean. So in my book, this would be a hand clean and press. I got this great coaching cue from Whiteboard Daily on Instagram. I highly recommend you follow them. They call it, when you rack and rest the kettlebell, rest in the nest. I like this idea. As you can see, the arm is fairly straightforward, vertical. And what you want to do is you want to bring your arm. I always say the handle connects with your heart. You internally rotate your arm, and then the kettlebell rests in the nest, right here in the crease of your elbow. In this case, it's pretty vertical. It's not a huge problem, but maybe it can start, especially if you get tired, it may be that when you clean the weight up here, that you start externally rotating your shoulder, which may cause trouble in your shoulder. So he immediately goes down into a dip, but he doesn't do a proper dip. He goes into a mini squat. A proper dip looks like this, where you push the knees down, but your hips stay fairly connected with your arm. So it's only the knees that are bending, but the hips are tight. Don't start hinging. putting your hips back, because then you will lose your contact with the elbow. And the arm-body connection, we call it ABC, is very important for this. Then he goes up, boom. And as you can see, he almost loses or dislocates his shoulder. So what you want to do is when you're in the press, you really make sure that your shoulders are packed, they're tight. Use your shoulder girdle muscles to keep the shoulder tight. Then the biceps close to the ear. I like his extension. The extension's fairly nice. He got great mobility. And you want to make sure that the thumb's pointing back and you're fairly straight. You have a fully extended arm, close to the head. And the hand insertion is something that we could also talk about. But the hand insertion is something that takes a lot of time to understand. The hand insertion is when you have the kettlebell really nice and neat, deep. You spear the kettlebell so that the lower part of the handle connects with your forearm and the upper part is right between your thumb and your index finger. And then you can have this biomechanical efficiency where you can work with the kettlebell without actually grabbing it. When he brings it down, see external rotation. Be careful with this. You want to rack it solid, go down, handle connects with the heart, and then you go down into a backswing or a hang position or putting the weights on the floor, whatever you like it, however you like it. The contrast is so intense because he's a master at the jump rope. And I think he takes just a few inches off the ground. That's what I remember from these guys. We're like, you have to just don't jump too high. It's a big mistake, just a few inches. Supposed to rest, but he keeps on going. Now the squat. My brother, don't pick up weights like this. Don't do it. I'm telling you, if you're watching me, don't do it. Make sure. You gotta remember my voice. Don't pick up the weights with your back. Pick them up with your hips. So now squats. All right, goblet squat. To the side view. All right, it's fairly decent. What I'm missing a little bit is the biomechanics of a front squat. That's what you actually engage in when you do a goblet squat. So you want to make sure you push your knees out as far as you can. In his case, he seems to have a long femur, so that makes things a little bit more difficult. But push your knees out has to do a lot with mobility in your hips and your ankles. Just make sure, knees out. That allows for your upper body to stay as vertical as possible because that's what you have to do in a front squat. Upper body is as vertical as possible, knees out, and your hips or your hamstrings should almost connect with your calves, okay? Because I got this from Mark Ripto. As you can see here, this is the knee angle. It's pretty open, right? The knee angle here is supposed to be closed in a front squat so that the hip, when it's down, you really want to close this knee angle as far as you can. So that's when the hamstrings almost connect with the calf. The hip angle is fairly closed. You want to make sure that it is as open as possible. Remember this vertical position. But the back, I actually like it. You see the back angle is way better than in a back squat. So he actually engages in some form of a front squat. It's just some, let's say, a recommendation on a very high note that you want to make sure that your upper body is as vertical as possible. And like I said, maybe with this long femur, this changes things. So the back angle is supposed to be almost vertical. Now, what I really don't like is his shoes. Cushioned shoes. If you lift weights, barefoot or flat shoes. Now, I do understand that there might be a stark contrast between the jump rope where you need some cushioning, right, for your knee joint and your ankle joint. I get it. But when you lift weights, you actually need flat surface or barefoot to really be able to transfer and generate as much force and strength as possible. So my verdict when it comes to jump ropes, the jump rope dudes got it down pat. With kettlebells, I'd be very careful taking advice from them. Now, what I would love to see is that professionals, when they engage in territory that they're not familiar with, is to really put a disclaimer in the video and say, listen, jump ropes, you know it, community, I got it down pat, let's go. But with the kettlebell, I'm just trying something else, so help me out. Maybe give me feedback in the comments, so on and so forth. I'd like to see this. Sometimes I believe it is a problem when professionals who are not used to that different training modality act like, hey, let's do it. This is a workout. You can just follow along, and then the form is totally off. So maybe that's something that I can share with the jump rope dudes. Guys, I love what you do. I've gotten some great information when it comes to jump ropes, but with the kettlebell, so thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, like it, consider subscribing if you want to see more kettlebell content. And if you're looking for a kettlebell course that serves you all the needs when it comes to technique, training, understanding biomechanics, everything all at once, then consider signing up for our early birds list for the hybrid style masterclass. It's our upcoming course. This is My Simple and Sinister. You got to check it out. Sign up. Link is in the description.